Okay, to find the integral of tan squared x, what you do first is you change it to sec squared x, minus 1. I'm just going to go through something else first. Okay, you know the trig identity. You don't know how to integrate tan squared because there's no actually set rule, but you do know how to integrate sec squared. So what you need to do is you need to change the tan squareds into sec squareds. So what you do is, first of all, you know that sec squared x equals 1 plus tan squared x. If you can't remember that, remember the identity, sine squared plus cos squared x equals 1. So if you want to get a sec squared, you go through and you divide everything by cos squared. So you get 1, that becomes tan squared plus 1 equals, and 1 on cos squared, go to the third letter, that's sec squared. Okay, because cos squared on cos squared is 1, sine squared on cos is tan. And then when you rearrange that, you can write tan squared in terms of sec squared. Tan squared is sec squared minus 1. Okay, so now all that you need to do is you get that trig identity and you change it to the integral of sec squared x minus 1 dx. And sec squared x goes to tan x when you integrate it, and minus 1 goes to x, and then we won't forget the plus c. Just on the trig identities, there's 3 that you really could either learn off by heart, or you can all derive them all from this. Now with this one here, you should know that sine squared is 1 minus cos squared x, and cos squared x is 1 minus sine squared x. Sec squared x equals 1 plus tan squared x, and that you can also rearrange that and go tan squared x, and you bring the 1 over, is sec squared x minus 1, and cosec squared x is 1 plus cot squared x. Okay, so with this, just with this here, you could kind of remember sexy with tan. That's one way to kind of remember it. So the sec one goes with the tan, and cosec you think of CC chips. So cosec goes with the cot. So cosec, if you did cosec squared x, and you took away the 1, then you would have cot squared x. You probably use this one less out of all of them, but this one here is used a lot for when we're doing integration to change tan squared to sec squared, and this one here is used quite frequently. There is another little way just to remember them. It's called a 4-leaf clover, a 3-leaf clover, not 4-leaf. And there it is there. So you go sine cos, and then you put tan there. The reciprocal of sine is cosec, because if you go to the third letter, that tells you what it's the reciprocal of. The reciprocal of cos is sec x, and in the middle we put the number 1. So basically, if you're going this direction, you add, and if you're going in that direction, you minus. So if I did sine squared, see how I'm going plus 1, sine squared plus cos squared equals 1. But if I went backwards on that, and I'm going this way, if I went this way, I go 1 minus cos squared. I should put those on there, the squares. 1 minus cos squared is sine squared. And if I went this way, 1 minus sine squared is cos squared. If I go here, I go tan squared plus, because that's the positive direction, plus 1 equals sec squared. But if I went backwards on that, sec squared minus 1 is tan squared. Cosec squared, this should be cot squared x, because tan and cot are reciprocals, and go to the third letter. So cosec squared minus cot squared is 1, or cosec squared minus 1, because I'm going backwards, is cot squared. So if ever you're going backwards, sec squared minus tan squared is 1. But you might just prefer to also just start with the sine squared x plus cos squared x squared x equals 1, and then just divide. Like if you want to get sec squared, you've got to divide by cos squared x, and if you want to get cot squared, sec squared, then if you had sine squared x plus cos squared x, if you want to get sec squared, you divide by sine squared x. So if you look at this one, this is tan squared x plus 1 equals sec squared x. And this is 1 plus cot squared x equals cosec squared x.